All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that are probably still tucked away in those back issue boxes at your LCS, those forgotten about, those ignored, undervalued, underpriced type books that you can probably, like I said, still go and dig and find for probably a decent price if you go hit those back issue bins. So these aren't the hot 10 books. These aren't the books that are spiking because of some recent announcement and some movie or a Disney Plus show or anything like that. This is just some interesting stuff that I think is worth knowing about in case you hit those boxes and you don't know exactly what you're looking at. We got some oddities, some nostalgia stuff, some first appearances, some variants, second prints, later printings, that kind of thing to help you when you're out there digging in those boxes. Now, before we get to this week's selections, we do have a giveaway announcement to work with. So let's get to that first. In case you guys have forgotten, last week I introduced a giveaway where you guys had your chance to win this particular book right here. This original art, one of one. Well, we guess we can call it a variant cover. I mean, it was a blank cover that has original art put on it. But you guys can win this awesome Yoda cover for yourself. As I said, it's one of one. It's a one of a kind item. It's something that could be just for you. Now, all you had to do to enter, granted, entries are now over. This is recorded. I'm recording this on Sunday. Going to premiere this on Monday, but entries are already over. I cut it off at Saturday, but all you had to do was go and follow Stepford Wolf Comics, follow her IG, check out the original art that she has there, the original art covers that she's done. Awesome stuff, fantastic stuff. And yeah, that's all you had to do. And comment on her giveaway post. That's all you had to do. So all the giveaway comments for everybody there. Hopefully you took, you followed the instructions and gave her the follow. Took all of those people who commented on the post, and you guys are going to be in the wheel. Once again, even though the time to enter is now over, still, please go over and give her a follow on that IG. She has a lot of cool stuff. Just to give you some more examples, we pointed this one out last week, the Elvira and Vincent Price cover. Awesome stuff. I mean, look, it's a perfect portrait of these two. Like, you could see it there in the art. I love this Beetlejuice on this Creep Show cover. And it connects with this Winona Ryder one. It's just awesome stuff. I mean, great art. Go check it out. It's worth your time to put it on your IG feed. Even outside of the comics, she does have some other stuff that she's worked on and she shared with some of these more horror type portraits. And even if you go back and you can see maybe this one's not horror, but it still kind of plays a little bit. A lot of people like to dress up as Joker for Halloween. So you know what? I'm gonna be doing a Halloween episode right now. So it made me feel like this fit what we were doing. So this is a cover. I like this Joker one as well. And this is also a combo cover that she did with her husband, Astro Wizard, who does the more the graffiti art style. And you can see there with the chaos down below. So it's like they tag teamed up on this cover, which again, it's fantastic. Fantastic stuff. So once again, please go give her a follow, regardless of the giveaway now being over. But let's see which one of you guys who did follow directions and did enter gets to win this book. Here, we got the wheel. I'm going to put it up right here for you and see all the commenters who comment, hopefully follow. You can see some familiar names. Hopefully you see your names. These are all the IG tags. So whatever the IG tag that was there, that's how we're running this. And we'll figure out who the winner is. And I'll reach out to you to get your address. But here, I'll scroll down through so you can see all of you are here. I think I got 37 entries for this. So yeah, let's see how this goes. That's so I can show you that. Now let's go to the full screen so we can spin this wheel and see who the winners. Oh, you know what? I don't want to do that yet because here are all the names. I want to randomize this so this way there's no sense of impropriety. So I'm going to hit this, shuffle a few times so you can see the names changing here on the screen. Changing as we go. Changing, just to kind of randomize things even more than they already are. So once I do go to full screen right here and we hit the wheel to run, you guys know this is the wheel that ran. I'm not that good at editing to make this, any different. So let's see who won this Yoda cover. Do we have a winner? Call me Dadpool. Call me Dadpool. Congratulations. You are the winner of this awesome Yoda original art cover on Star Wars. So I'll reach out to you. Call me Dadpool and get where you want me to send it to you, and I'll make sure I'll get that book out to you nice, safe and sound, a nice Gemini mailer, probably even in a bubble mailer to kind of do some double protection on that thing. But thank you again, everybody who entered. Thanks for checking out my show, supporting my stuff, supporting other, our artists here, like Stepford Wolf Comics. Make sure you go check out Astro Wizard as well. And yeah, it's community. So let's, let's all support each other. And if you guys need any help with stuff like that, you can reach out to me and I'll do whatever I can. But with a little bit of a limited reach that I have, I will do what I can to help you out. So with that all said, giveaways aside, let me put this book aside so I don't knock it down by accident and damage it, because I have a tendency to get animated, move my arms, and I might knock the book down. So with that said, we can get rid of the wheel because we no longer need it. And we are going to get into our topic, which is actually going to be Halloween themed. So bear with me for this week that we're going to be doing Halloween themed books that I think are pretty fun, pretty interesting. And actually, there's a few that you might not be aware of that they're worth quite a bit of money. That in case you find them in a box, you might have found yourself a nice little treasure. So with that all said, hopefully you're still enjoying this as well as everything else on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Check out the memberships and think about hitting that join button. And just hang out for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back with this week's books. All right, so this week, as I promised, just at our little intro there, we are doing something a little different, and we're not doing this artist this week, but we are going to keep all of the categories that I did pick themed around Halloween. Yes, we are only a week away from Halloween. Let me correct the background to make this set the mood a little bit better for us. Let's go with a nice little smoky background. That's what we're going to go with for this week. Now, even though Halloween is next Monday and I could have done the Halloween special on Halloween, I figured at that point, we missed the window. Nobody is excited for Halloween anymore. You guys are be coming in from trick-or-treating, exhausted, wanting to watch Monday Night Football or something, and you're not going to want to be looking at Halloween horror-themed comics at that point. So waiting until next week didn't seem to make sense to me, so let's do it the week ahead so we can still get into the spirit and get excited for the spooky season. That said, we are not doing artists, like I said, but we are going to go with some variants. We're going to start off with some variants that, I don't know if you're aware of these. Again, I'm trying to reach all different levels of collectors, so some of these are going to be books that you already know. Some of these might even be books I've mentioned before on other shows a long time ago. But this is just going to be stuff to try to reach everybody, to give you guys some books that you can keep an eye out for when you're digging in those boxes, that if you find it for cheaper, maybe you found something good. You know what I mean? Like, not every shop price is the same. Not everybody has the same information. Not everybody knows the same books. So you never know what you are going to find when you go digging. And our first book is a pretty pricey one these days. So chances of you finding this are probably pretty slim, but let's make you guys aware of it anyway. And that is this Blade #1 variant. Yes, this is a variant cover. It's not an incentive cover. It's basically like a B cover for the 1999 series of Blade. Bart Sears did this art, I believe, and stark white, cover. Condition sensitive on this thing. It can get dirty and damaged pretty easily, just like a all black cover could, except white attracts dirt. So keep that in mind as well. But even though, if you find one that's less than perfect, those are even still worth a ton of money. Case in point, let's take a look at some of these. Here we have some sold copies recently. $100 with 9 bids at auction. Best offer accepted on a Raw. That was also a Raw. Raw, $370 ask. Best offer accepted. And then we have what looks like a 9.0. 24 bids to get it over $212. And then $2,000 best offer accepted for a CGC 9.8. So, yeah. I didn't get you the exact price. You just know they accepted a price under $2,000. You got to imagine it's probably pretty close to that, as you'll see with some of these asks. That's what's out there that's sold recently. The asking prices are here. A 9.6 asking about $1,750. 2 Raws asking $500 and $600. And then another 9.6 asking about $1,800. So once again, this is not a cheap book. It's not going to be an easy book for you to find, but I want you to be aware of it in case you get lucky and you could find this at a half-price books, Books A Million, whatever might be near you, flea market, yard sale, LCS that just doesn't, that just has random books out. Who knows where you might find your books? Just want to let you know some of the things for this spooky season that you might be able to find. And this is a book definitely worth keeping an eye out for, just in case you stumble across it. Even if you stumble across it at a price, now you see where the market's at. Say you find this in a shop and it's marked $50, it's probably worth picking up for $50. That's also my point. I'm trying to give you the market of what things are selling for and what others are asking for, so you can determine for yourself if you want to buy it, if you find the book in your shop. Because maybe you see it in your shop and they're asking $150, and you're like, you know what? I'm not spending $150 on this book. It's kind of dinged up. It's up to you. That's your call. And that's all I'm trying to do here, is give you some information so you can make the call and you know what you're looking at when you find some of this stuff out there in the wild. We're going to go on to the next book in this series. This is a movie variant because, again, 1999, we're right in the time when Wesley Snipes was our Blade. So Wesley Snipes cover here on issue 2. Another variant worth looking for. This is also just kind of a cool cover, right? It's kind of fun. This also fits my nice little Halloween themed background with the fire and the orange. He fits in there perfectly. But this thing, once sold for only $5.50. $5.50 on 4 bids October 4th. Even online, you may be able to find some of this stuff at a decent price because, again, nobody's looking for it. This is the stuff that gets forgotten about and gets lost into the ether, into the, of all of the books that could possibly be out there. Some of these guys slip through the cracks. And here at $5.50, I think this one slipped through the cracks considering some of the other asking prices. Because if you want to go shopping for one now, as I kind of wanted to after seeing this book and seeing, hey, I could get one for $5.50. Oh, no, I can't, because the ones out there right now are asking $60, $100, $167.43 raw. Yeah, that's not the same as me paying $5.50. So I'm not buying this. And I skipped over, there was a lot that has the first 6 issues of that 1999 Blade series, including this cover for $75 or best offer. So, I mean, it is there, but still. That's not $5.50. But who knows? Maybe you can find this and maybe you get lucky, or maybe you have it and now you know what that book is worth. So that's all we're doing here. Just kind of go through some fun little variants. And all of these variants, these are not high ratio incentives. These are not going to be the impossible things to find. These are things I think are legitimate contenders that could be hidden in a box somewhere, maybe near you. They might not be near me because I've looked, but they might be near you. So I'll do what I can to help you guys find some good books as well, even if I can't find them. That said, our next one is going to be this X-Men homage. This is X-Men #1. Tons of copy printed. And this is the 2010, I believe. Or is this 2010? I think this is the 2010 run. I might be mistaking it. This is the 2014 run. This is the... we'll see when I get the prices up. This is not an incentive cover. This is one of the many variants that came out for this issue. This is the Arthur Soydum. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Zombie variant with Deadpool, Beatles, Abbey Road homage. Here we can see what this thing kind of sells for. 2013. All right, so this was the 2013 run of X-Men. So my mistake. We're going to get to the 2010 one soon because that's the one that has Dracula. And this is the one that I think has more of an all-female team with X-Men in it. But you can see copies of this selling for about, almost $30, $20, $25, just raw copies. So this is something that if you can find it for cheap in a box, you can see it sells and does all right for itself. Asking prices are kind of in that same range, $25 to $40 raw. There's a 9.6 asking $125. And once again, this is not an incentive variant. This is just one of those kind of themed variants because I believe there's other Arthur Soydum, whatever. The Marvel Zombies guy. He did all the Marvel Zombies covers. A lot of these homages that are out there, including this next one. I believe this was part of that same run. And this is She-Hulk #22. Granted, they're doing the homage to Savage She-Hulk #1, and it's all zombified. So there you go. I think this was done in that same kind of like a month. Maybe not. Maybe this is done at a different time. I could be misspeaking. I'm just kind of going off the cuff here of what I recall. And this is, this is 2007. It's not the same run. This is a different zombie cover, different homage, different reasons for this cover. So disregard what I was just saying. But you can still see this thing sells for $20, $25 if you can find this in a box. And this is, again, not an incentive cover. This would have been like the theme month variant cover, like the ones that just get kind of tucked away and mixed in with those others when you go on, digging through your shop on Wednesdays. Because Marvel still does this to this day where they have multiple different variants for no reason for all these issues, and it just gets exhausting. It's like, what are all these video game covers? What are these? And then the Star Wars, even worse, when you have the 40th anniversary of this, you got action figure that. Just too many covers. That's what I think. That's just my personal feeling. Way too many covers make collecting all the more confusing. You can't be a completionist anymore. You just can't. Back when I started collecting this, when I was collecting like X-Men and Spider-Man, yeah, there might have been multiple titles of X-Men, X-Men and Uncanny X-Men, two titles. I can do that. But there weren't like five different covers for each book. It was just one cover, direct to newsstand. If you were really that, anal about collecting, you could get direct to newsstand. But I didn't care all that much. I just wanted a copy of that book for my run. But complaints on that aside, asking prices for our She-Hulk, as I got on a little bit of a rant there, a little sidetrack. 33, $40 raw. There's $225 for a 9.8. This thing can sell still pretty well. So if you find this in a box, fun little homage, grab it. Some of the other ones do all right as well, because I believe, again, it was like a theme month. Because a lot of times the publisher does these theme months, just like our last one here of the variant segment. We have this Catwoman that was part of Monster Month. Granted, this isn't really a monster cover, but this really doesn't capture kind of the Halloween vibe here. I mean, she's got her little jack-o'-lantern. She's dumping jewels out instead of candy. Kind of fun. This was Monsters of the Month, uh, number 35, new 52. So I believe all of the issues for that month, they were all mostly issue 35, all had different monster themed kind of like covers, but this was the Catwoman one. And it still does all right. And again, this is not an incentive variant. This was open to order, so a lot of shops have these, and these are in boxes. I find these types of things, all the time. And maybe not this particular one as easily, but keep an eye out for it. Copies can still sell cheap, $5, $7 online, but then they can go as high as almost 20. And then when you see the asking prices, it's still kind of in that $20 raw range, and then a 9.8 might be $120. That's what they're asking. So keep an eye out for it in case you find it. All right, and with that, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is later prints. Here we're going to go with some later printings, sticking with our Halloween themes. And this is why I got confused earlier on, because we do have X-Men to start us off, and we're going to do the 2010 run of X-Men. Another complaint of mine is Marvel restarting all of these volumes with new number ones just to sell books. It's annoying. It's hard as a collector to try to keep track of things. Try to explain to you guys which run we're talking about, which volume. I've lost track of the numbering. They've restarted so many times. But this is the second printing for X-Men number 1. This is the Curse of the Mutants, where the mutants are again kind of going head to head with Dracula. Kind of an interesting run. I know we've talked about this before on other shows. I mentioned, I think, in Dollar Bin Digging a long time ago, but here's the second print for number 1. And this is what we're going to start with. And this thing could sell for, a decent amount. We're looking at about $50 here. With the 1 in 25. All right, so maybe some of this one, this particular sale, might have been tied in with that 1 in 25 Dracula cover, which is also pretty cool. But this was the only sale I could find, so to give you some sense of it actually selling at this point. But the asking prices are $6 to $40. So even the asking prices are still kind of all over the place. It's one of those things where nobody's really looking, so there's all different kinds of copies available. And once the cheap ones clear out, then the more expensive ones are there. And don't also be fooled by the $6. Yes, I say there's a $6 copy, but it's also out of Canada. So in the US, if you want to buy it, it's $15 shipping. So that's really a $21 purchase. So then we're talking $20 to $40. So keep that in mind as well. I mean, I'm trying to be quick and concise while going through these books, but I don't always factor into shipping when I mention the prices. But shipping should be a little bit of a factor when you're doing your buying and making your considerations. Yes, it's a cost of business, but paying that extra if you're buying it overseas, you got to factor that in, because it's could add up on your wallet. Now, this is issue 1, and there's a few issues. I think the first 3 or 4 of this run all have second prints. And this Curse of the Mutant story, I think, runs the first 6 issues, and then I still think it kind of continues a little bit with another follow up. But I've talked about this next one a couple of times before, because it's an awesome book and one you definitely should look out for, because I didn't realize how expensive it's gotten over the years. But X-Men number 2. This is a pretty cool Blade cover, second printing. I found this a couple of times. I think I still got an extra one lying around here somewhere. I got to go dig it out, because while none have sold recently, because when I went looking, there was only one that I could find listed for sale with the asking price, and the asking price was a healthy $250. I don't know. That's a heck of a price right there. I don't know if that's what it's selling, because again, I couldn't find any record of any recent sales. I don't know if it's worked its way up to that. This was like $50 to $70 a couple of years ago when I mentioned it, to keep an eye out for it before, and Dollar Bin Digging. But $250. Some of these books, they do creep up, so maybe that's not a crazy price. Either way, I got to go find that extra copy, see if I can go dig it out. But that's what I got for these. There is also, like I said, there's an issue 3, and I think issue 4 might even have a second print as well. But we're not going to go dragging on through that. We're going to jump around to some different stuff, and we're going to go jump over to Halloween. Devil's Due Publishing. This is a second printing, which can be easily identified by that huge orange stamp right there on the cover that says second printing. Don't have to be confused. I mean, you can check the barcodes. That's one way to do it. You can look for the little bit of a typeface that says second printing on the cover, like Marvel puts on many of them. It's really, really small, but here you go. Halloween Night Dance, #1. You're not going to confuse it. There's that big orange stamp, second printing. Now, I'd grab any of these Night Dance books if you can find them. But here we go with the second print. None have sold recently, so I couldn't give you a good market on that. But to give you a sense of what's available, $50, $40, $90 for this issue, and the second print for issue 2, and then basically $900. I was going to say $899.99, but $900 for a 9.8 of this second printing. So this is a pretty pricey book, or can be, especially if you can get it in higher grades. So keep an eye out for it. You never know what you might find. That's why I put this stuff out there. You never know what you might find. So it's just good to know books just to keep in mind, keep an eye out for. Go look it. So if you're digging through books and you're in the H's, look for Halloween Night Dance for one, and keep an eye out for the second printing for #1. Well, I guess #2 as well, because you see that does all right with the pair. And with that, we're going to jump on over to Marvel Zombies, which I mentioned slightly before. This is Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness. Pretty cool Captain America homage there. He's punching a zombie Hitler, knocked his head off. But this is the second print for #1. Crossover from Marvel and Dynamite here with the Army of Dead. This does all right too. So keep an eye out for this. This is $10 to $20, $40 one sold for, all raw over the last couple of months. Asking prices anywhere from about $13 to $30 to $48. So wide range again. But if you find it cheap in a box, say cover price $5, it might be worth grabbing. If you find it for like $10, maybe worth considering, but maybe you don't jump as quickly as you might at 5. Again, your call to make on how you want to collect. It's your money after all, not mine. I'm not trying to spend your money for you. Just trying to show you some cool comic books that I think is worth talking about, at least for a little bit. Now, another thing that I've talked about on a couple of these shows over the time is Frankencastle. Why? Because it's such an odd concept. I can't believe it happened, and this is the documentation that it actually did. So, Punisher #11. Yes, if you can find the first prints, obviously grab those as well. But there is a second print for first Frankencastle here, and here you go. It's not the greatest cover. I believe this is just interior art pulled through. It's not as cool as the regular cover. Is much better than this, in my opinion. But still, not bad. But it's still a book worth looking for if you can find it for a decent price. Because here's some sold copies. Recent copy sold for $75, $45. Best offer on 130 plus. Then we have these available. So you know what the available copies are. We're looking at about $50 to $75. So pretty close to those sale prices are the asking prices. So just keep an eye out for our Frankencastle. As weird as it was, it's still a book and a couple of books, actually, a little run worth looking for. So there you go. Keep an eye out for that second print. Done with later printings. We're going to go shift on over now to some video games. I also did have a little bit extra this week because we're doing Halloween, I'm not doing an artist, so I put a lot of stuff in here. So bear with me as we go through some more Halloween themed comic books, including Darth Lopez's favorite. He told me about this a while ago. I've had it in my back pocket, waiting for a good time to use it, and I'm like, well, Halloween makes sense. So for our video game portion, we are going to be looking at Call of Duty Zombies from Dark Horse. Yes, 6-issue run. I'd basically grab any of these. This #1, though, it's a gorgeous cover. It's awesome. I don't know. There's just something about it. Something about a good horror cover. Just really scratches me where I itch, I guess, this time of year. That's issue 1. Here, we'll look at issue 2 and issue 3 flanking it. Move on to the final 3 issues. There's issue 4, and then you got 5 and 6 wrapping us up. So it's all 6 issues there. I'd grab any of them if they're cheap enough because you can do all right with this whole series. But we'll go back to #1, which you can see can sell for about $50 raw. And then there's issues 1, 2, and 3. $30 for the 3 of them in a lot. Yeah, not too bad. $30 to $50 for like issues like this. And then when you look at what's available, it's still kind of in that range. I mean, if you look at a partial set that's missing #1, Actually, no, it's only 4 issues. It's 2, 4, 5, and 6, $70. And then you have a full run of issues 1 through 6 asking $200. So this is not a cheap set, and a pretty good one if you can put one together. That you might do all right. Again, you can find it for a decent price, not find it for cheap like my buddy Darth Lopez did. So keep an eye out for this stuff. This stuff is out there. It might not be out there for everybody, but it's out there for somebody. And if you do find it, please tag me on Instagram, post about it, because I love to see it, because I like seeing wins in the community. I like to see when people find stuff. It makes it a lot of fun and gets everybody else inspired to go looking and hunting too. And, support your LCS as well. That said, let's move on to the next segment. So that's the video game part. I just want to stick with one because, again, I got a few other things we got to go over, like my nostalgia picks here. I put these in nostalgia picks because this is the kind of thing I remember doing, like when you're a kid and you're playing. Like you would think of crazy things of making different characters that don't really cross over face off against one another. Like you get super excited when it actually did happen, like when G.I. Joe crossed over Transformers, awesome, that kind of stuff. But this is the kind of stuff you would have dreamed about that may not have ever happened, but they may have happened in some comics, like Jason versus Leatherface. This top series, it's only 3 issues. Grab any of them if you can find them at a cheap price, because these things not only really cool, I mean, check out that art, these do all right. So that's issue 1 there in the middle. Again, 3 issues at a Tops. Yes, Tops. The card company, they made comics for a short while. Some Jurassic Park stuff, some like Zorro type stuff, and some of this horror stuff. So the horror stuff is probably the stuff you really want to go digging for. There's issue 2, issue 3. Again, look at those covers. Just fantastic. Awesome stuff. But here are some of the prices so you get an idea of why I'm telling you to look out for these things. Set, $133 basically at auction with 7 bids. Another set, $162.50 at auction with 20 bids. And then we have a number 1 9.6 that sold for only $80, but it had 35 bids. Kind of surprised by that price in a 9.6. I think that actually might be a good deal, especially when you compare it to what the asking prices are. I mean, that was a 9.6 after all. But yeah, and Simon Bisley doing the art, awesome stuff, like as I mentioned. But to give you a comparison, here we go. Raw, it's $70 for issue 1. Issue 1 and 2 together, $90. Raw, asking price. The 3 issue set, asking $300. So if you can find these, definitely grab them if they're cheap enough. I know I saw them at a show somewhat recently, and some of the prices were they had them marked kind of close to market. Not quite here, but I think they were asking maybe 50 on issue. I think they might have issue 1 and maybe issue 3. Can't remember, but decent price, decent ass on them. So maybe not at a convention. You don't go hunting for this stuff. I mean, you could find it. I mean, keep looking, but just keep an eye out for it. That's all. And then you make a decision like I did. I looked at it. I was like, well, I don't want to pay 50 for something like this, but if I found it for cheaper, maybe I would have considered it. But that's just me. Everybody's budget's different. Hobby how you want a hobby. Tops. We're going to stick with it. We're going to stick with the horror theme because we're still doing Halloween. And up next, Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Yeah, movies weren't great at that point. They were kind of silly. They are what they were. But the comics, definitely worth keeping an eye out for. 3-issue series on this one as well. There's issue 1 there in the middle. It's also, I think it has a glow in the dark. I think these were also packaged with polybagged with 3 trading cards. So there's like 9 cards that make this set, because I think each issue had 3 cards. If you go off of what's on the cover there, but issue 2, issue 3, 3-issue run. There were cards if you find them polybagged, and just fun. I mean, it's fun kind of stuff to go back and collect. But as you can see, Jason Goes to Hell, the full set sealed. $69 with 4 bids. Issue 1, a little over $15 with only 1 bid, and $35 for issue 3. One sold for somewhat recently. Again, these were all October, so within the last week or 2, these all sold. So even now, these sell. Asking prices: 3-issue set asking $100, issue 1 asking $50, and then another 3-issue set only asking $50. But hey, prices are all over the place. If you are interested, I mean, they're there. If you want them, I'm again telling you to go dig in the stores, dig in the shops, wherever you go hunting comics. Go look for this stuff there, because maybe you can find it for cheap. And that's why it would be a hidden gem, as opposed to me just giving you a shopping list of books to go and buy for no other reason than I think they're kind of cool. But that said, let's stick with these weird little crossovers, or I should say, go back to it, because Jason Goes to Hell was not a crossover. It was just Jason. But here is a crossover, and this is the kind of weird stuff I was talking about. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. J. Scott Campbell also did this cover. 6-issue run, but we're going to stick with issue 1 first because issue 1 had 3 covers for it. And as you know, I love this type of stuff when the covers connect. I'm a connecting cover fan. I don't know why, and I got to try to get them all. So collecting a set like this is a pain in the ass. But J. Scott Campbell, Freddy, Ash, Jason. I don't know why they did that order, considering that's not how the title goes. That part weirds me out, but I can deal with it. Still, pretty cool seeing these connect together. Just off of this set alone of issue 1, we're going to do this first because there's a 6-issue run, and we'll look at the other issues in a minute. But this set, best offer, $200 for all 3 covers. Just the Ash, $40 somebody bought one for, and then the 3-issue set, again, somebody bought for $180. All raw. This is all raw stuff. Asking prices on these. Freddy cover, asking $68. Ash cover, asking $60, and then $70 for the Jason cover. So you factor those all in. Yeah, you're looking at about $180 if you want to buy these individually or buy them as a set. So if you can, again, find any of these covers for cheaper than that, consider it. Now, we're going to stick with the Freddy cover just for fun because we're going to look at the whole run now. This is the rest of the set. Issue 2, issue 3. Fun little crossover of these 3. And then I dig the final issue 6. That's why I put it in the middle and gave it more prominent spot because that cover is really cool with Freddy in one eye and Ash in the other. I don't know. I dig it. But then there's 4 and 5 on the sides and, kind of bookending it. But sticking with that, let's look at how much these things could go for. And I did not update the right side there. All right, so sorry for the sold stuff. That's that Call of Duty Zombies. I must have missed copying and pasting that. But you get the idea. When we look at the asking prices for these, that Jason cover, the mask for issue 6, selling for $30. And then random issues together in a lot. Looks like issues 1, 2, and 3, $70 for the 3 of them together. So you get some kind of ballpark figure. I mean, these issues could be anywhere from like $10 to $30 or more if you go with those Campbell covers at the beginning. And with that, we're going to go on to the next volume. And I say volume because they did follow up this run, this 6-issue run, with a follow-up series. And that one is Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, Nightmare Warriors, 2009. The Kings of Horror return. So we bring it back. And yes, we bring it back with issue 1. And it worked last time. So why not do it again? Connecting covers. And this time they decided to do it all hodgepodge mixed up. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, and they're Jason, Ash, and Freddy. Just put them in order, fellas. I don't know. Maybe it's OCD or something that's bothering me, but still, pretty cool cover set. And just going off of these issues again, number 1, these connecting issues. Let's look at what we got. Some copies selling for $10 to $20. Yes, those are both the Freddy cover. I didn't want to dig into all of them because it's kind of the same story for them all. I don't believe any of the characters drew better than the others. So $10 to $20 were the sales that I could find. And then the asking prices were in that kind of $25 to $30 range for them. So I did give you one of each there. Just kind of ballpark numbers to give you a sense. The second volume isn't as pricey, I guess, as the first one, but still worth keeping an eye out for. And they decided with the second volume to do more of this, because I guess they saw fans like me who wanted to collect this stuff. So to make sure people saw this series through, despite giving 3 covers to issue 1, they didn't do that for all of the issues, but what they did do is connect the subsequent issues together. So issues 2, 3, and 4 go together to connect another image of the 3. Still out of order, but I still kind of like it. And then, well, it's a 6-issue series, so we can't do another 3-issue, cover run, but we can connect the last 2 together in a 2-issue connecting cover set for issue 5 and 6. And you get the 3 of them together. Still not in the right order. But, alas, what can you do? All they had to do here was flip-flop flip-flop Ash and Freddy, and it would have finally met my wish to have them in order listed by the title, but we didn't get it. That said, we're just looking at the whole run here and random issues. All 6 issues for this set, $150, $200, $130 with 59 bids. Like, this is stuff that, apart from those straight up buy it now, 59 bids means there's a lot of people looking, a lot of people fighting over that. Yes, it did go cheaper, but a lot of action on that. 59 bids to get up to 130, 50. Not too bad for a run like this. And then asking prices, yes, $200, $275, $350 raw for these 6-issue sets. It's not too bad when you factor it all in, especially when you consider those issue 1s were only like 20, 25 bucks. So finding the rest seems to be the tougher ask in this particular volume. The subsequent issues, not the issue ones, but the rest. First volume, issue 1 was the king. The second volume, it looks like the later issues are. But that all said, that was my nostalgia portion. We're going to move on to our final segment and just get into some oddities, some oddball stuff. And it's not all oddities in the sense that they're just weird comics. In some cases, I put things in here as oddities because comics are primarily what I cover and primarily what we talk about here on the channel for the most part. But sometimes there are other things to collect other than comic books, just comic books. So magazines, I feel sometimes fit that oddity because you go to your shop. They sometimes have a box of magazines that's tucked underneath a table somewhere. You got to go get down on your hands and knees and go dig and flip through it because they got some weird box of like National Lampoons and some Eries and Creepies and things like that. And maybe some Conan books, things like that in the magazine segments. But that's what I want to talk about because there are some Eries and Creepies you should just know. Granted, most of these are probably going to be books because I'm going to be talking about masters of the art here, and I'm talking specifically about one master, Frank Frazetta. And yes, this is an early issue of Eerie. Yes, this is from the 60s. I get it. But sometimes it's worth just looking through those stacks of magazines. You're walking through a flea market or by a yard sale, they got a stack of weird magazines. You see Eries, and you go, most of this is junk. How do I even know? Yeah, how do you know? Well, I'm just going to show you a couple, so maybe you remember the covers. So if you do see these covers, at least grab that. Don't walk by, because it could be worth your time to do so. So issue 23, sorry, I don't know if I said the wrong number earlier, but issue 23 of Eerie, I think this is from the 60s. This one is a classic. So yes, this one is obviously going to be worth a lot of money, and it is. $316. 27 bids, $185. And these are not all like near mint. Magazines are a different animal. Like you're not going to be finding 9.8 copies of magazines. So if you do, you're lucky, but that's not the norm. So don't expect that, and don't, not pick up copies because you're, I don't know about this. Look at this, got spine ticks and a little bit of roll. Yeah, because magazines were mostly read, as opposed to some comics where comics were collected and some were never read. Magazines are a different collecting animal altogether. So don't just walk away because a copy might show a little bit of wear on it. As long as it's not falling apart, it's probably worth your time to keep it. Think about picking it up. Available copies on this one: $350, $575, $800. Yes, they do grade copies, but none of these copies are graded, and that's what I'm talking about here. These things can be super duper expensive. Yeah, I know. It's from the 60s. It's a Frank Frazetta cover. It's obviously going to be expensive, but a lot of people might not know that, and maybe they've seen this thing and they go, "Oh, maybe I should have bought that." Just in case, let's talk about it. Issue 25. This is Steranko. So this is not a Frazetta here, but still, don't sleep on Steranko. This one, you can see copies of issue 25 selling for as cheap as $30 for a very good copy that somebody graded, up to 12 bids, up to $130. Prices can be a little wonky all over the place. As you can see, a pretty beat copy, only $15, but if you find a decent copy, $80, $140. So who knows what you're going to find? Who knows what you're going to find out there? So that's why I'm just letting you know, and figure we cover this in the oddity section. And we're going to go back to Frazetta for our next one. Another Eerie, issue 81. This came much later on in the run, so it should be maybe easier to find, but who knows? 21, $51. Copies have sold for 7 bids, 19 bids. I mean, Frazetta still sells. He still sells to this day. So if you can find this stuff, you might do all right. Asking prices $50, $75 as examples. Sticking with Frazetta, but we're going to leave Eerie behind. We're going to hop on over to Creepy for a minute because he did do a couple of Creepies that I want to talk about. And these are pretty cool. Yes, this is also from the late 60s. This is early issue of Creepy, number 10. So yeah, I know you're going to be like, I'm not going to find early issues of Creepy for cheap. No, maybe not. But I still kind of want to show you the books in case you do see them somewhere. You can think about it, depending, again, on the price. It may be on a wall somewhere, but still priced, that's something you want to spend, because even online, you can see copies are not that bad. Sometimes $10, $38, $40 copies have sold for it. A couple of those at auction, because sometimes you might be able to sneak auctions of this stuff because it's not a book that people are looking for. It's not the flavor of the month. It's not the flavor of the week. It's just oddball collectible. Granted, it is Halloween season, so more people are looking at these right now, but if you go out beyond Halloween, you might be able to find this stuff, in November and December for cheaper, because nobody's looking for the creepies. Asking prices, $25, $45 raw. Hey, look, an 8.5 is listed there for $300. That's 8.5, which in comic terms, 8.5 is usually not like the grade everybody's chasing, but you never know. With magazines, it's a little different. The next issue also had a Frazetta cover, issue 11. Pretty cool, right? I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous art. So hopefully you can find something like this. I think some of these might have been reprinted as well, so be careful. Be careful you don't buy a reprint for first print prices. But even some of these aren't too bad. $15, $33. There's a lot of 4 of these books that included the last book. So 10, 11, 12, and 13. Best offer on $27. So that's not too expensive either. Somebody got that for a pretty decent price. But meanwhile, some of the asking prices could be much more expensive. There was an auction that was ending for $20. I don't know if anybody put a bid down. There's a buy it now for $20, and then there's a copy listed for $150. So once again, prices can be all over the place. Good luck if you find some of this stuff. Who knows? Who knows what you might be able to do with it? If you're even thinking about trying to sell it or flip it in case you found it. Maybe you just want it for your collection. And I got one more creepy Frazetta that we want to talk about. Pretty cool cover. I know you've probably seen this image before, issue 17, kind of like a Axeman, the Reaper kind of thing. Executioner, I should say, not the Reaper, but issue 17. Pretty fun stuff. Copies selling for this $16, $25, $44. Not terrible. Warren Publishing. Does this give a year? 1967. So yeah, like I said, late 60s, mid to late 60s. Even copies that are not, like I said, very good copies, they're not in great shape, you might be able to find them for a cheaper price. And maybe that's the only way you can afford it. It's the only way I could probably afford it. So, or would think about collecting these because I got a budget, and many of us do. And you can see copies here even online right now. Copy can be bought for $13. May not be a 9.8 type book, but $13. If you're interested, there's a copy. You want to pay a little more? There's one in the UK for $22. You want a little more? There's a copy there for $50. Or you can make an offer on it. Just saying, it's out there. And now for the last thing, this is one that just really caught me by surprise just based off of a sale that I had saw. Or was it a sale or was it a listing? But I know I've seen this title, and you see these on the tables and just in boxes all the time, just randomly. Famous Monsters of Filmland. Yeah, you think like, oh, well, it's got a Freddy Krueger cover, this, that, or the other. If famous character, you think it's the first time that they're on the cover. Oh, then you see, oh, well, it's Child's Play 2. So is it that interesting? Maybe not. Weird stuff. These magazines, there are collectors for it. I don't know a lot about them. I don't know a whole lot about it. Not all of them are worth something. So don't take what I'm saying as like, oh, grab any Famous Monsters of Filmland copies you find. But sometimes you see things that just kind of stand out. And apparently, this is near the end of the first volume. I think it ended at issue 250 and then restarted. So this is issue 249, which is kind of covering, we got like a Dracula. It looks almost like, he's got the kind of almost like vampire scruff there. But anyway, this issue 249 apparently is not easy to find if you were to believe that the one sale that I saw was one bid for $350. Granted, this could have been a best offer on an auction, and they could have accepted less than $350, but still, this means that the starting bid was $350, and maybe they offered more, or maybe they offered less, because that's how it works when you have an auction with best offer. It'll just show the starting bid as the price. That doesn't mean that's what happened. It could have happened with only one bid. It ran the timeout. Somebody won it for that one bid. But sometimes, if they had that best offer option on an auction and there's no bids, they might have accepted more. They might have accepted less. And there really isn't an easy way to determine what they accepted. So without doing some extra research and digging, I'm just going to say that, look, at least this thing was asking $350 and somebody bought it regardless for a price. Let's just say that. And if you're hunting for one, there were none out there. So that's the kind of weird oddball stuff that kind of catches my eye. Hopefully you found that interesting. That's all the books I got for you. Hopefully it wasn't too long for you, this little bit of a Halloween special, but I thought it was worth our time to kind of go through some of those books and take a pause from the normal, artist retrospective and yada yada, because I'll do that next week. But I like mixing it up every now and again, so hopefully you appreciate that. And again, thank you for taking part in the giveaway. Dadpool, I will reach out to you to get you that Yoda book. And thank you to Stepford Wolf Comics for providing the book for the giveaway. And hopefully you guys went and gave her a follow. Hopefully I gave her a follow on Instagram. And again, community, let's all help each other. And with that, I will see you guys soon with some more content. All right, later.